What is good, YouTube? Is Aaron back here with the channel. And today we've got another gameplay review on the rated ladder with Kaisa. And yeah, let's hop right into the deck list, and then we will hop right into gameplay. So this is a list. I don't remember what it's changed since the last time we've got it in there. So we've got a high removal count now. We've got Falling Star, Singularity, Piercing Light, Hextech Ray. I've got a Blood Rush because I'm playing Dreaming Tree now. I'm not convinced this is going to be in the deck long term, but I think card draw can be a bit of an issue with this deck, so I wanted to try that out. I've also got Premonition in the deck now. I think I lowered Time Warp down to 1. And I will say one thing that I have changed since the list, which will go today, then I've realized that like my monster or my unit count is a little bit low. It's whatever 18, and a lot of them are 2-drops and 3 like Lecturing Yordle and Opal, which are kind of low on just like the power scale. And like this is like a removal deck, right? Like your goal in Straven is just like clear everything and not have to initiate too much combat. But I do think that like there are some matchups, whatever, like Jax, not examples, but it's like the mid-range decks where like maybe there's deflect on them, like the or maybe an Ezreal deck where you kind of like may need more units. The mirror match where like they're gonna also have a lot of removal. So since then I put Darius in the deck. What I cut, I think I put the Piercing Lights on the side. I think one of the two between Piercing Light and Singularity is gonna get moved to the side. And I just picked Piercing Light right now just to have fit more Darius's in. So now I think we're at whatever 20 units, 20 spells, something around. Still a fair amount of removal. Blood Rush is just there to like make sure we can get over some of the bigger units. Like if we need to like beat like the Draven unit, this is one. So yeah, this is it. Still on Candlelit and Void Gate. I haven't had any issues with these. I think I kind of like them. And Void Gate just going second, I think. Play the deck and Time Warp. Just have to be concerned with Hard Bargain. This is definitely one of the better cards in the list. But yeah, like you just can't. Moments. And Brain Here's still very good. Not playing Minotaur. There's obviously one in the deck now, but it wasn't there originally. Kind of realized that this is like a little bit too low to the ground deck. I need like at least another more unit, another one that can ready, or accelerate rather. So yeah, that is currently where we're at. Yeah, let's hop right into the gameplay. Is against the Victor deck, which is a little underperforming based off what we kind of initially expected with the deck. It is a solid deck, pretty but I think like once you're not in the best of one format and you're able to side deck for it, you are not going to struggle too heavily. And yeah, like it's also like a game plan thing. Like if you are just throwing in your units against the deck pretty early, then you're probably going to struggle later in the game because the Victor deck is able to like maintain control of the board and utilize its mana efficiently. And you kind of need to like come off curve, get a little wide, force them to use a lot of power off something like Imperial Decree, Bella's Breath, and yeah, just keep in mind that way. So he goes early off Conservative game 1, and we have like a pretty mediocre hand, but we've got units, we've got draw power. So this is a pretty good spot to be in from our perspective, because we're just going to see more cards, and we've got Time Warp access already, and this deck has no negates. So that is ideally a win con for us. Game ends up being pretty long. Cola weeks to clear, which we're pretty content with. Like this deck using power early, I am very happy with. And we just go double, not double here because he can't. Clarity clear. Pretty good situation for us to be in. And he takes his time and ends up, I think, playing just like 0 plus unit. And again, like you want to be applying enough pressure against this deck to where ending power, but at the same time, you can't just be like wasting your units. Like I think I didn't. I played the Forecaster on 3. But like if I swing early in a spot where he leaves up 3 Wages of Pain, he's getting a lot of value in spots where like he doesn't deserve to. So I want to like force his I want to punish his deck for leaving up the So we go Singularity, clear, stop the Conservatory draw. We draw a bunch of cards, conquer, and we're pretty. Obviously, if we get Singularity, pretty unlucky. But we kind of accomplished what we want to do. We got to draw cards. We obviously have to play with since we have retreat now. Cycling's not my favorite, but still good. Maybe there's an argument to like have a Ferris Forerunner in this deck in the main or somewhere. But I think with the Darius's we're a little happier before we were before. And so no Ferris Forerunner just because the Rebuke is 2. And they both cost a power. Darius is going to accelerate, so at least it plays around the Rebuke over the course of multiple turns, where Forerunner does not. So he gets off to like a pretty decent start. We should be at 4 here. Yeah, he ends up holding. And yeah, this is me messing around for some reason. We've got Kaisa, we've got Retreat up, so we can technically get to Time Warp next turn. I would like to ideally use it in a spot where I can guarantee game. Um, End up not doing that, and I think this ends up being a mistake, which we'll kind of go over once we get to that point. But yeah, like we have a spot where Kaisa's chilling, it's on tree, we've got Retreat. And it's deck's like this deck can't conquer battlefield. Like it has to remove the units entirely. So just sitting with the Kaisa on the board is pretty strong. And when we want to try and split up where all of our units are, so a card like Bellows Breath doesn't do too much. We want to force him to like be trading in recruits because if this deck doesn't draw Vanguard Armory, it really struggles to maintain board presence. And the decision to hex tech right here is we don't want to give him the free draw off of Conservatory. So I'm trading my Ray for his Conservatory draw, which is 1-for-1. Ray is not going to do too much in the long term of this game. And I'm in the driver's seat in terms of like he doesn't have cards to play with. He's low on runes, so I am trying to push my aggression and trade this for me. He obviously gets a Hidden Blade here, which is inconvenient, but we would rather that than like him get to Hidden Blade plus Conservatory, so we get potentially three additional draws here. And we also get to conquer this point, maybe. This is a spot where I think I should not be swinging because like when this deck leaves a 3, it's just like almost always Wages of Pain. Also be like a card like Blood Money. So like it's like not there aren't really good situations for the forecaster to swing in. And I think this is a mistake on my part. Like I should never be like just like allowing this deck to use that mana for free. And there's like a small argument for me to retreat the Kaisa here and swing it into the Conservatory to get up to 5. If I had another retreat, 100% of the time I do that. The issue is like, so that line is 6 mana, and then I play Noxious Hopeful as well, or I could not play either. Either way, like if he just like has it out to the Kaisa, we're in a pretty inconvenient spot at 5 points and like no board pressure. So if I don't play the Forecaster, I think that plays better. I should just like leave Forecaster in the back, Kaisa into the Conservatory. Way I can then swing into the other battlefield, get to 6, maybe Time Warp 7 there. But yeah, like me swinging in there, I think was like a pretty big mistake in the grand scheme of things. And it's one of the reasons why this game is going to go way longer than it should. He's up to 6 cards in hand now. He's up to 5 points, so we have to be a little mindful of him winning the game over the next couple turns. But we got Watcher to get back on board, and this deck doesn't really have board pressure, so as long as we're mindful of cards like Imperial Decree and just like minimizing, we're gonna be okay. Again, if he does that combo on 7, he is down to 3, then 5 the next turn. So it's not a great spot. And we Ray here on the sprites just to try and guarantee that we take our Kaisa. It's pretty solid play. Obviously, having to pay up powers. We still on 10 next turn, and we could theoretically still work for game mix if everything goes through. And he tanks for a little bit, ends up letting the solve. Obviously. It was not the best. So we go here, he Cold of Weeks. Here's my hopeful. We hold the 5. And he has only 1 up, so not too much he can do. And this is where I have a couple different options. I think I'm just supposed to Watcher in. Put myself on 6. Still hold both. Have the option to retreat back either of the accelerated units. If he tries to clear both, he has to have like and he can like hold a week, but either way, like I hold, I retreat back the next turn, right? And I'm still in a decent, and I can still win the game. I end up not doing that, and I think this ends up because again we only have 1 time warp on the main, and this ends up being I think a big punish. Take our new turn. I'm gonna tap all, and we're up here. So I end up choosing to Watcher onto the other guy, And I'm like, surely this deck can't clear both, right? Like he's going to 9, so like it's possible here, but I think he already used like 2 Cola weeks. Um, he goes like Bellows plus Guy. I've got Retreat. Like I can probably still make this work. So we draw. We pass from here, and I don't remember how he outs this, but like I put myself in a really negative position. Goes unchecked power. So this is a card that generally isn't played in Victor. And it ends up being really efficient for him. So I have to retreat. I draw. And this is another like this obviously is one of the most punishing examples of my deck being kind of low on units. Um, but yeah, like being in the spot where like now we're whatever 16 or 17 units in deck. I don't draw a retreat. I'm in like not the best spot. And now we have to start like into the Victor's game plan of have to only commit 1 or 2 units at a time to play around Bellow's Breath, and he's able to just like kind of efficiently do what he wants. So he goes Watcher here to beat over Kaisa. He goes to 6. I think for a little bit, I don't think there's a way to actually out this. Theoretically, like double hex decorate, but let that die. I think there's an argument to like Bellow's Breath or whatever. To kill both and maybe get a draw, but I choose not to. I just trade with that, and now we have to be mindful of. I guess we don't have to, but it ends up coming up where like we have to be careful of if we do deck out, and give him the 7th point, or like we can't let him get to 7 because if we do, we do deck that situation. So we yordle, and I don't remember if I didn't acknowledge it, but at some point he reveals I think Consult to pass off Conservatory, so we know that's in his hand. That is my assumption for what this hitting card is. Um, so now we go Falling Star, put it at 6. And I am mindful of blood money in this situation, so I choose to going in with Poro. Um, I play Blood Rush, so I get my draw off of 3, obviously. And I put this up to 4, plays around all potential removals. And he has Guardbreaker, which is not a card that this deck really should play. At least it's like pretty abnormal. Like, scared of like Vi Ride the Wind still. I really don't know what the point of this card is. Luckily, I saw the Falling Star, so he gets the draw off of the 3, but we do still remove. We do get the 7th point. We get the draw, and we just here. I'm deciding, okay, do I want to play another unit, force a card out? Like now that we have 2 in the back and 1 up, if he Bellows Breath, he can't kill both. Like he has to commit a 2nd card to out the board. That is the goal, and also having 3 monsters on board doesn't allow Singularity to clear. So that's like why like where I'm thinking with all this. But he has Blood Money plus here. But this game just like it's a grind that is perfectly. I think we're supposed to hold the time. There's no reason to get greedy there. We want to put the game away. So we go Premonition, draw some cards. We get another Accelerate, which is fantastic for us. Has to be a little bit mindful of a card like Hidden Blade whenever we go for game. And now we're also at the point where we have 8 cards in deck. He's at 6 again, so we have to be pretty careful with getting. And the one thing that I do make a mistake. I think I don't remember if I used Bryn here earlier. I think I'm about to draw. I guess I play it aggressively. We'll get there, but there are Bryn here's in my deck, right? So that should theoretically make this game a little bit easier for me. Like if I stick body or 2, or I guess I have to stick like a body. Yeah, I don't have Kaiso, so it's probably not as important as I was initially hoping. But yeah, I've got like these piercing lines which are just like dead. And I watch her just to like get on board and I can retreat. I need to make sure that I clear his. That's the reason why we're committing here. And so like I'm just like being careful of the 7th point margin. And we obviously have retreat to keep us alive. But now we're at the point where we don't have any more removal that is actually. So we have to be proactive with everything. We know he plays his own Watcher, so that is not something he plays 2 or 3 of and ends up drawing a rough spot that we can't prevent. Goes wild or taps. Okay, so definitely be worse for us. Yeah, here goes the Bellows. We have to retreat. We get the draw. We're at to 4 cards in deck. Um, he's used I think 2 Bellows. He goes consult the pass just for he has to pay for it. So he's Falling Star. We clear his guy, which is just I guess what this has come to. We go Forecaster. Which now we go pretty wide in the back. We have the luxury of being safe anymore because okay, so here I play Bryn here, and I like the goal here now is if he doesn't have Bellows Decree, these 3 should theoretically lock game. I didn't consider Hidden Blade in this calculation, which was because if he has like Singularity plus Hidden Blade, I still lose obviously. Or like Singularity plus like Blood Money, Wages of Pain, those types of. But like we're also at his plot up, can't be too. Well, and this is the 3rd Singularity. He's got 15 in deck, so like we're trying to play around everything we can, while also right we can't. Honestly, like I want to give him the 7th point quickly. That way he has to conquer both in the same turn. I've got enough removal to where that's never happening. Clarity, Falling Star, Piercing Light, and also again like just cards again like I can draw Kaisa again deck raise. So he's in not the best position. Wages of Pains, like okay I guess I don't know. We play Guy. I think we just play Poro and pass. Like we have to play both. Yeah, we're looking at so no singularities. We have to play around like I think he like rips a Watcher or something. Buys a draw. Again, not the best position. We have 2 cards in deck, but again, if we get him to the 7th point for this, we lose. If we can get through our deck in correct amounts, correct timing, then big of a deal because I'm never really gonna let him get this board. I think he realizes and plays like I think it's maybe Sprite Call. Like his deck, I don't like if you are gonna play the Control Vector deck, I don't like his list at all. Sprite Call I think is like antithetical to the goal of his deck, which is like you want to minimize the amount of units you play. And I guess it's a rush. Like it could be worse. I get it kind of, but it's also just like pretty good. Like you really want to minimize the amount of units you have on board. In this situation, it's obviously fantastic because I don't have it. But it also costs him. But now he's only got 2 up. I've got 2 bodies. I'm able to pull it off very fortunately. So I'm gonna be at 1 for turn, 1 off of the 7th point, and then I can win the game this way. I got very fortunate. Obviously, the second Watcher, which helps as well. So we Falling Star pop, Hidden Blade to draw, but we have he only has 2 power, so we play through Hidden Blade by this. We draw, and then or how he does this, we used to. Very like I clutched out at the end. Not my favorite game. He very fortunately ran out of removal toward at some point. Yeah. Like it got us there, but not gameplay again. So all the time where that was like the main thing. And then this is where like the side deck will just kind of like ruin this. So I'm putting in I think so. I'm putting in what's it, Forerunner, which automatically just like makes this matchup like so much better. Like you have to commit so many cards out all of the pieces of this. And I remember to put in Thermo Beam because of Vanguard Armory. It you could maybe even argue that I don't need to because his list didn't look like he played it. Based off of him playing like the Sprite Calls and stuff. It's probably pretty unlikely. But like how important is whatever I took out Singularity or Hextech matchup when again we didn't see too many units, so it's probably not like the biggest deal. So yeah, we just mull like the top end. We keep a Yordle that we just want to make sure we have card economy the entire game. And yeah, we just gonna plan on dropping this Forerunner as quickly as possible, and then being mindful of Imperial Decree plus Close Breath, and from there, like, how do we really lose the game? Um, he's got 3 up again. I learned my lesson from game 1. We're not gonna Wages of Pain and give him all this free value. So we do this. I think I drop like a Noxious Hopeful, and I'm just gonna pass. And we're just gonna minimize the impact that the mana has, and again, like I knew how to play this matchup, and I just didn't execute correctly game one. So it's annoying, but yeah, I was able to pull it out. And again, this is like even if I lose that game one, I'm so confident that I'm gonna win this match because I remember how to play correctly now. But two, like I just have the sideboard in. Like Forerunner is such a broken card. Um, that can't outed even by like their side deck. And then here you're supposed to technically swing first before you play the Forerunner. But I think he had 3 up, so yeah, like we're kind of reading Wages of Pain. Because even if he has like 2 of 5 plus blood money, like it's not doesn't out it. So he should swing first. Which is kind of what I realized after I played the Forerunner. I was like, okay, wait, does he out this? Can't really. If he wants to spend a lot of mana on this turn to do it, ready to clear. I'm fine with this. And then Watcher, inconvenient, but we'll survive. He commits 2. And the biggest thing with his deck is like when he has that mana up, like I don't care at all about what he's doing. He could have like hidden whatever Facebreaker and all that stuff, but like just chilling. But you commit the Kaisa here. Probably not needed in all actuality. Like I can just like probably swing over, hold that for more. But I want to retreat only this Kaisa. I didn't feel like playing a bunch of 2 drops, like when I can just get like my board bellows. So I think maybe I'm just supposed to commit the Forerunner. I think committing Forerunner to the Vile Maw in hindsight was definitely better. Or just in general, like you don't want to like give his removal more value on Void Gate. um, but now we commit the Yordle here. We're also kind of threatening Stupefy if he tries to like swing in, so a good thing for him a little bit. But yeah, like if this is just like instead of Kaisa, have whatever one less card in hand. I think it was like or a 2 drop. I just like play 2/2 in the back. I swing Forerunner onto the Vile Maws, and that's a unit that I'm comfortable being stuck there because whenever it dies, it just replaces. And Yordle swings over their side. But then I technically could have gotten stupefied, so like I think this ended up playing out very well for me. I just don't know if like I'm not sure if this ends up being like incorrect. It ends up being good, but just some things to consider. Because now like I am also like leaving this Kaisa is like a spot that's like pretty obvious as like a so like plays into it. I'm not sure if there's like a better line from him. Because if he like swings into Void Gate with Watcher, now he has to be concerned with like Singularity. There's like one shot it. Well, he doesn't know they took it out because he cares about like I can commit like a Falling Star to clear a Watcher. Right? Like I'm not super concerned with giving specific removal for specific units. Like he only plays like 4 or 5 units in his broker whenever. We need blood monies, clears my Yordle, and we're just pretty content to kind of vibe. He plays a unit, roll a week, and this is probably like his best case scenario in terms of adding the deck. And we're in a pretty content spot. Like now these 3 drop mechs are kind of hard for him now. Like he can wages to paint them, obviously. Yes position and premonitioning on this turn. Um, so my hand here is a bunch of 2 drops, a Kaisa and a in here. And like I can just like go wide. But in general, one thing you want to do as Kaisa is just try and maintain like use your ability every turn. That way you're just like maintaining the value of it. Like it becomes plenty power over the course of the game when you're doing this. Um, and my hand was just a bunch of units, which that deck kind of doesn't care about. Like or like their goal is to like whatever clear all of your units, so you're not getting too much from it. And getting into another Forerunner just like kind of ends the game, so it's kind of like the goal. So now this resolves, or we do this, we get the cards, and then we just like go wide in the back. If he wants to like bellows, he can clear some guys, but we've got a 3 and 2/2, so he has to commit like stupefied to clear units, and we're pretty okay with him committing multiple cards when he only has 5 cards in hand, so is kind of where we are. He commits 3 to clear a void or on Void Gate. And his Watcher being stuck on Vile Maws, I think ends up being really good for us. He's able to like move in and we have to like kind of do back row, it's kind of whatever. But if it goes up to 6, like it like I think looks scary, but this doesn't really have rush. Be out that Watcher, like what gonna do? Obviously there's Sprite Call, but like we can some form of removal between like Stupefy's are effectively removable against his deck, right? Rights aren't going to do too. So the only he has to have multiple Stupefies here for this to go poorly for me. So I double blood rush onto my Noxus to make it trade with the Watcher, and again I have double Stupefy, so I prefer to hold these as backup. You go like Stupefy plus Bellows Breath to stop him from, but with everything that's not Watcher. Um, but yeah, even if you like Wages of Pains, like I'm still gonna guarantee trade it. So this is a very big win for us, Watcher. And then now we can just kind of walk over right with a Stupefy. Even if he goes don't Stupefy or Wages of Pain to clear, like we can play Kai'Sa to swing over it. We can do. We have so many units in our hand that we're throwing the shitters at it. We get the 6. We go tall in the back. I may play another one. I think. Yeah, play Poro just to take and pay to flex. But he's up to 12. Like he got a little bit more gold this game off of his blood money. So go Stupefy on Mech. But he has 4 cards and like we have many units, so many cards that we just don't really care. I think we try to walk in with a token. We Bellows Breath. So many units. We've got Bryn here to Bryn here plus Kai'Sa on 11 is effective. Like you can't outfits from that position. We are way happier with how this game went than the last one. We had Forerunner obviously, which makes it, and all of his like cheap removal, like the blood monies and stuff. Like we just generate so many units to not really care about all of that. So yeah, like I think the Kai'Sa deck's still very strong. Still testing into Draven. It's one of the matchups that I'm getting more in. I think it's like winnable. We'll see if like the Fiora decks that we've seen performing better end up being an issue. Aurelia is another deck that I think this deck can hang its own with, but definitely one of the scarier matchups. I think Bryn here on its own just definitely. And then I'm still citing Thermal Beams. Like I think there's arguments to like not like so in Kai'Sa specifically, you can't really beat decks or like you cannot beat the gear decks just like on one. Like a lot of those guys have deflect. Theoretically, like the Runus Runner, like there's just too many cards in that deck. Can't beat. You have Watchers obviously, but it's like not always enough. So okay, there's in there to help with that. But Thermal Beam I think is just very important for the Kai'Sa deck to Vanguard Armory in this deck, all like auras, like whatever. So, but definitely, I think that card is pseudo mandatory in Kai'Sa, and in Draven I think it's just like good. We'll see if that ends up being the trend as meta progresses. But yeah, that is all going to be all for this one. Let me know what other matchups you want to see. If you want to see Kai'Sa, if you want to see some Draven, any other interesting decks. Yeah. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.